I woke up very unhappy. Dude, I'm very scared. Scared. I was scared. I did not have fun watching the movie. I'm just like panicked. Goosebumps. Scared. I want to leave. I think in terms of scared, I was very scared. I'm scared.
Go New York, go New York, go. Go New York, go New York, go. I am so pumped tonight.
For context, tonight is, at the time of recording, game 1 of Series 1 of the playoffs. The Knicks are playing the Sixers. By the time this pod actually drops and you will be listening to it, probably months will go by. The Knicks will be in the finals. You know, nothing could go wrong. This will age perfectly.
Anyway, lucky number 7th episode of 2 Men and a Baby, the half-hour-ish, hopefully this time, podcast. As usual, I'm joined by fellow Knick fan and funny man himself, Abbie Krinsky on my left, and to my right, the boy voice Brendan Fletcher, the very vocally talented, the horror hound himself. And
Did you just call him a boy voice?
The boy voice. He's got a beautiful boy voice.
Boy voice.
Love that.
Doesn't he? Give me a
Yeah,
note.
but
Just
it's
hit one
the
note.
voice is good. The boy part.
Boy voice.
Man voice.
This week's episode, or this episode, is about the First Omen 2024. Let's go. And I haven't said this since first episode, but smash that like and subscribe, baby.
Yeah, you haven't said it, and they haven't listened.
They haven't done it.
All right,
Guys,
Brendan.
it's easy. Smash the like. That's how we get this thing going. We get this thing circulating beyond our immediate families and our other 2 friends that we have listening to this podcast. What's up, Sean Devin?
We're counting on you, third friend. All right, hit us with that theme song, B-Man.
2 men and a baby, oh yeah. 2 men and a motherfucking baby.
All right, guys. Firstly, oh man, did we watch a movie recently?
Classic, dude.
You're welcome. I'm
Abby.
out again.
Smash that
Dislike.
silence after that joke, dude.
And if you guys are wondering why I'm dressed like an unemployed magician, it's because I came straight from my job. These guys don't work.
On weekends.
I was bartending. I was making espresso martinis.
So the way we usually kick things off, we're going to go around, and each one of us is going to give a 1-sentence and 1-sentence only synopsis of the movie, and then we will compare that to the official one so that everybody knows at least basically what the movie is about. Did everybody write theirs?
Actually, yes, for once. I did.
Abby wrote one.
I wrote mine on the drive.
Sammy synopsis.
So, I don't know. I'm
over here.
kind of in a slump here, guys. So I apologize.
He went 5 for 5 the first 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Bombs, absolute nukes, and last week was all right.
Yeah,
but
ground
no.
out.
No, it was a double in the gap. We talk about
All
this.
right, okay.
It wasn't left field, it was right field.
This one might be the field of choice, but I will start off. So it goes like this. In need of a PR facelift, the Catholic Church dupes a small-town woman into giving birth to the Antichrist in order to scare back followers into the loving arms of Christ.
That's
I like
good.
it.
You're back, dude.
I was wondering, though.
That was second deck. It wasn't
back.
It wasn't upper deck, but that was good.
It was a ground roll double. I like that. I was wondering if we're supposed to put in, like, there's a big spoiler that is revealed like halfway through this movie, and that sort of like could be described as the plot or not, and I wasn't sure to use it, but I like that. I mean,
Yeah, I don't
it's
know.
hard to describe it without that.
That gives,
Well, we'll find
we
out.
have a lot of people that listen, like 3, that don't watch these movies.
Yeah, true. I should have left more.
No,
to be
I'm
desired.
saying that's a good thing.
Should have left a little appetizer and less of a full entree.
To each his own. To peaches.
Abby, you want to
guys.
go next, or should
Yeah,
I?
I'll go next. Mine is very long. My synopsis for The First Omen is: there's a church devil. Who is it?
All right,
That's
Abby,
essentially, I thought, the plot.
I'm calling the cops
All
on you, dude.
The Catholic Church is doing bad stuff again, but instead of tiny little boys, young women are sitting front and center to remind us that behind every great evil man is a great not so evil mother.
Nice.
Okay, started off strong and political, ended with a bit of a...
I just
liked
couldn't.
it. I liked it, dude.
I think that was a triple, and then you tried to go for a home, and you got thrown out.
So that's it. I think.
So yeah, all right. So here's the official synopsis from Rotten Tomatoes. When a young American woman is sent to Rome to begin a life of service to the church, she encounters a darkness that causes her to question her own faith and uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that answers that question that hopes to bring about the birth of evil incarnate.
Yeah, that was
So
better.
yeah,
That was the
Brennan
best
did
one.
not spoil it. So.
No, I mean, he did, but so did they. Which
Yeah,
is fine.
yeah.
It's
So that-
clearly part of the movie.
Yeah.
This is all right. So, well, all right. Let's set the scene. We always like to set the scene. Let's set the scene. So we went yesterday to Regal Union Square for this flick. Afternoon, Friday movie. We were all going to take it easy, be good boys. Then we get there. Regal's got a bar now. And so immediately Will finds out how to max out their drink policy.
Yeah, it's one drink at a time. But
they were like, a double? And he's like, yeah, 2. And I'll also take a 24-ounce hard iced tea. And they were like, no, you will not, sir.
Yeah, I got a double Tito's and I tried to get a 24. Anyway, he was like, we can only serve one at a time. And then I went, sat down, came back, and I was like, is this okay? He was like, yeah.
So then Will had a nice 3 drinks, 4:50 p.m., normal stuff. The intervention episode 9, I think.
At one point, I turned over to Will, and he was pouring in his double Tito's into the Voodoo Ranger iced tea. And
they only had one cup holder. I had to consolidate.
He literally, Brendan taps me so I could look over too.
What if I just poured the 2 drinks into one drink?
As I was doing that, I was like, this is going to come up for sure.
Yeah. The Voodoo was a 7% hard tea, and that was
I think we all felt it after.
I felt it.
And number 7 episode, 7%.
7%.
Wow.
777 make a wish.
This is actually crazy.
And honestly, that Voodoo Ranger, not good. I did not think that was a good drink.
You know what didn't make it better? Warm Tito's.
No, I'm surprised. Okay, and then one other theater note is Regal, I noticed, dropped the very, very cringe intro that they used to do where they would have a whole conversation in the theater, all these characters using famous movie quotes, I'll have what she's having, Wolf Pack. They dropped that. They now do a much more simple. I think it was getting roasted online so much that they got rid of it. I wonder if AMC still has the Nicole Kidman.
They do.
They do.
Because we went to see Dune.
Wait, is Regal owned by AMC?
No, I'm saying they each had their own cringe intro.
Got it.
And Regal dropped
Oh, yeah,
theirs.
right.
They probably saw Nicole Kidman getting roasted and were like, we're gonna
way
get
worse.
ahead of this. Yeah.
And then the last thing I have to say is we took. Well, I'll see if I can cut this in. Maybe not, but we were recording just to see the theater experience. The people behind the concession stand were so fucking funny there. They couldn't get the machine to work, and the woman was being so nice to me. And I ordered a large popcorn, as I always have to. Need to feel sick after the movie. And then
the coffee.
She's having trouble, and I had a coffee that they
coffee
let me in
and
with.
popcorn.
Popcorn, and
diabolical
a Voodoo Ranger.
That's like an alien order, dude. That's like when you're first, like, what do the humans?
Your boys got
coffee
needs
and popcorn.
Your boys got needs. I need to be awake, less sober, and again, have a tummy ache.
Are those both like legumes? What are they called? Like
no, that's beans.
Well,
You're thinking of beans.
Corn.
Legumes are actually nuts. Well, and beans.
Well, coffee
Peanuts.
is beans. Corn is kind of like a little.
Okay, I like this.
The name of our podcast is Coffee is Beans.
Coffee is beans. This is nuts.
Coffee is beans is nuts.
She calls the manager over, and the manager's like joking around. And he goes, "I swear to God, if I come over here again, I'm gonna snap." And she just goes, "Well, then I'm gonna crackle and pop."
I'm gonna snap. And I'm gonna crackle and pop.
I wish we could have her on the pod, dude. She's way funnier than any of us.
Yeah,
but okay, so we saw the first Omen, and I'll also start by setting up from my background. Never seen any other Omens. So I have HBMs. We've patented it. Hat-brim movies that I used to watch as a kid, where I'd put my hat over my eyes, pretend I was watching, so I wouldn't get embarrassed in front of my friends, and legit not look at one fucking scene because I was so scared. This was a EMM, an earmuffs movie, in which I actually saw like half of the first Omen, like the 1970s Omen, at Jersey City's own, now closed down, Video Rental. You remember that place?
Fuck yeah, I remember that.
On Columbus. And we were like, I would just hang out there sometimes. And I would just watch. They were playing it on the TV, like at the, like they would have a TV at the rental place, and I was watching it, but there was no sound, and I was still so terrified. And I had nightmares about this movie just from subtitles and watching like 3 scenes. So this is an EMM for me. Never seen it for real. I do want to watch the original one because I feel like that's actually good.
The original is excellent. It's part of that like Satan trilogy of the 70s where Catholic Church fear. There was The Exorcist, which we did, but then Rosemary's Baby and The Omen. Those are the 3 70s famous movies. All are amazing.
Yeah, Catholicism really is a topic for these. And as someone who was raised Catholic, First Communion confirmed.
Dumbass.
2 Jews and a Catholic.
2 Jews and a Catholic.
I actually asked them if I should should tuck the chain. My mom got it. Shout out to mom, dude.
Shout out to moms
Shout out
all
to-
over
alright.
the world.
We represent Jewish culture, anti-Zionist podcast. I want to make that very clear.
And speaking
Very
of
clear.
speaking of moms, this movie, it was. I thought it was a perfect movie for this day and age. I enjoyed it. I don't know if that's the Voodoo Ranger tea talking.
It helped.
But it definitely greased the old gears. From immediately, as soon as the movie started, I thought, ooh, I just like how it's shot. I just like the vibe.
was beautiful.
Of it.
I
It
thought
kind
it
of
was-
actually, from the opening shot, it reminded me a little of The Exorcist. In you have like the portraying the Catholic Church is almost like a very like the skies were overcast and the church looked very demonic, and it also takes place, I believe, in like the 70s, which I
Yeah,
think The Exorcist
it
takes
was.
place in around the same time. Just the way they captured that feel, it was very reminiscent of The Exorcist. I thought it was great.
Yeah, they did a good job of the period piecing. Like they really made it feel like the 70s. It was shot, I'm sure, on film. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. Like there were some scenes that I thought were dumb, and then they were so beautifully shot. I was like, my brain didn't even know how to feel.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful, and I loved how they really did the period piece well. They didn't do the like Italy very well. We'll get to that. Like
Yeah.
like no one spoke Italian. The accents varied tremendously.
Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah, exactly. So they didn't quite figure the Italy part out, but they definitely did the period, like the cinematography. That whole
Yeah.
camera crew here killed it.
Yeah.
A+.
And to be clear, I we'll get to the full
Yeah, you're not
scope
saying
of
it's,
reaction. I'm not saying like I love this movie. I thought initially when it first started, I was like, ooh, this is something I could sink my teeth into.
Yeah.
Wait, Abby, so you said earmuff movie, but then didn't explain that at all. You just said that you watched.
I watched it without sound, and it really scared me. The original one.
Oh,
This
you-
current
I thought you
one-
said this one
oh,
was an
no,
earmuff
No,
movie.
dude, this podcast, you guys, this is immersion therapy. I'm not fucking closing my eyes. I'm not, talk to me. I stared at my watch quite a bit because
Yeah.
I was really scared. But in general, I'm taking these all in. I'm raw dogging these.
You
with
were
my
raw
eyeballs.
dogging them with your eyes, dude.
And they're hurting my brain. This one, yeah, initial thoughts was, I agree. I started off having fun. I ended also having fun. It definitely didn't hold up to the level that I thought it might be at the beginning.
Dude, you're using the F word a lot
yeah.
up in here. That's going to be the beginning of the
What?
podcast. Instead of like, I was scared. I'm scared. Like, I had fun. It was fun. And I actually had some really fun.
3 Fs.
Dude,
And-
I don't even think you're a baby anymore, maybe.
No, that's what I thought.
I'm worried
Literally.
that's gonna happen.
Is that the goal?
No.
It could be, but the truth is, that's what I thought. I literally had that thought. I was like, "Oh, I'm having fun here." We'll get to it. In the first scene, there is a death. That didn't scare me, but it wasn't supposed to be that scary. But it was like, I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting it." I was like, "I think I've broken this podcast." And then the first real jump scare happened. And I was like, "I want to go home." I went from having so much fun to just remembering exactly why this whole premise exists.
Yeah.
I was really like, fuck, I'm uneasy now. And they did it again. They lulled me out for a second. And
Yeah.
Good.
now they put me back in.
We're like clockwork oranging him, but we need him to not ever just
You're Clockwork
be
Oranging me.
miserable the whole time.
I just have like stubborn synapses that won't.
So I'll give my
Synapses and
I'll give-
synapses. All right, Dubs, what do you initial thoughts, please?
So I for once, I'm not the one that is like. Usually, no matter what, I like the movie because half the time I recommend it and I kind of
You're
know.
lowbrow. You're a peasant.
I kind of
dude.
know it's going to be good.
You stink.
I liked it. I thought it definitely had what outside of Saw X, the movies we watched, it had what we hadn't seen much before, which is like the Hollywood cliche horror like beats that you have to hit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also did some things that I would have never expected in a wide release horror movie. So that was cool.
I agree. Yeah, the Hollywood beats. Yeah, I think that's.
But I
good
don't
point.
think that the
My
unexpected
favorite band.
That is a good band name. I didn't think that the unexpected stuff was enough for me to be like, that was sick. Like pretty much all the other movies I've loved.
All right.
Yeah, you're a jump out little boy, dude. You love the jump outs. You love movies that go swing. Oh wait, let's stop.
What?
Let's stop. Let's start over.
Hold
Forget
on,
it.
Brennan, you need to not
Forget it. You know what I'm saying?
keep that in there.
No, okay.
What are
hold
you
on.
saying?
I thought it was gonna go swing.
Wait, you? Yeah, you. I'm sorry. Forget it, dude.
That being said, and we'll talk about those later, some of those moments were way crazy that I did not expect. All right. So to close this segment out, would you recommend the movie?
Yeah. All right. I'll say yes. I had fun. Yes.
Yeah, I'd recommend it.
Yeah. There are too many bad horror movies out there. There's definitely a positive over negative. That said, I don't think we're going to have an episode or a movie on this show that I recommend. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, because you're deciding what we watch, and then you're like, "Would I want to watch it?" I don't know.
I might throw like a wild card in there just because I know it's ass.
That's
Be
what
like,
I thought
no,
for a
this
second
shit
this
is-
might be, and then I saw Will's face, and he looked too confident.
Did you see the Rotten Tomatoes before this movie?
Of course he did.
Yeah. So that's part of the thing.
Will wakes
So-
up. He looks at Rotten
That's part
Tomatoes.
of
He
the-
goes to sleep. He
That's
looks
part
at
of the
Rotten
thing.
Tomatoes.
Will knows what the critics
Yeah.
already say about the movie, and then we don't, and then he
goes-
can criticize
Yeah.
us
Yeah,
for
so
not knowing.
I mean, preview for Rotten Tomato later in the episode.
He goes, Lisa, give me a minute. I know you wanna have a moment, but I'm reading Rotten Tomatoes
Lisa,
right
give me
now.
a minute. I'm plagiarizing right from RottenTomatoes.com so I can look smart.
See, that I do not know. But all right, so
I'm joking, dude. I'm sorry. I love you. Peace.
So now we know what we thought. Would we recommend it? It seems like a soft yes from pretty much the whole crew. But more importantly, this is a horror movie podcast. How horrified were you? So the way that we decide how scary the movie is we have a human barometer right here in the room. After all, this is Two Men and a Baby. So Abbie, being the guy in the pod that doesn't like the horror movies, he usually gets a lot more scared than Brendan and I are capable of, because yeah. So Abbie, tell us where does it rank on the Binkymeter?
I already sort of spoiled my views on this a little bit, which is that I had fun and it didn't jump out as so scary to me. But right as I was really getting into the fun part, into the period piece, I'm not scared of gore. So that first kill, gore, I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I laughed out loud. And then fucking first jump scare, I was like, God damn it, I forgot I hate horror movies. I forgot that this is hurting my feelings. It's making me goosebumpy. And yeah, so I was scared. Carlita's Way, they showed her. She was scary at first, and then they humanized her, and now we like her. And then I'm like, okay, well, you just took like the scariest thing out of the movie for me. And then so at a certain point where, like, again, I won't want to get too deep in the spoilers, but the only real person to be scared of for a while in this movie is the mom nurse. And I didn't find her that scary. Like, she was creepy, but it just didn't do it for me. So I would say, again, I didn't dislike the movie, but it wasn't one of the scariest ones we've done.
The irony is this is probably the most like one that I expected to be like traditional cookie cutter horror jump scare.
scares.
Yeah. The thing is they kind of buried the lead with the jump scares, because there was one amazing one at the beginning.
It fucked me up.
was
with
great.
it.
And then
I loved it.
yeah, it just never really got
So
it.
with all that, because there was two ones that really fucked me up, but the rest didn't. So I'm going to give it a 7.2 on the Binkymeter.
Okay.
Nice.
You can go lower. I feel
Standard.
Well, no, because again, I was ready to go lower and be like, this was not scary. But
Wait, Abby,
two
do you know that you
big
can
jump
go
scares.
lower? Did you know
When
that's
they go
allowed?
high,
How
we
low
go
can
low.
you go?
Because you can go low if you want.
we do need to start writing these down so that we have a
No, we
reference
need
point.
fans, and then they can do it
Oh
for
yeah,
us.
yeah. Tell us.
Don't you know the
Yeah,
podcast?
drop
Cycle of life?
a comment. Yeah. All right.
The other thing is that, so there was this game that they were playing throughout the whole thing, which is a lot of 6/6 stuff, June 6th stuff, 6/6/6 stuff. The baby had to be born on June 6th. And we
It's
might have
sick
said
with
this in the first episode, but this is it's pretty notable the more I think about it. Will Dubs and Brendan Fletcher were both born on the same day, which is June fucking 6th.
Yeah, baby.
They're pounding now. You
That's
can't
how we
see
do.
it. They're
Here,
pounding.
same day.
That's crazy. And that
For a
Same
horror
hour.
podcast?
Same hour and same woman.
Mom.
We
Twins.
we devilish with it.
But isn't that crazy? I think someone should replace me on this podcast that's born. So if you're born 6/6 and you're a scaredy of movies, come replace me. Come tag me out.
But I remember actually 2006, they came out with an Omen movie. I forget the title of it. Do you remember?
Yeah, they
Do you have
just
there?
remade it.
And me and my buddies at the time, I was in a hardcore band called The Day of Reckoning. And after band,
Wow.
Devilish.
after band practice, we went to Sakasana theaters in New Jersey, and we saw The Omen, and it was great.
Wow, that's not what Rotten Tomatoes says when I looked it up. But
What's it called?
I'm
The
saying
Omen,
the Omen
remake is
26%.
Yeah. Also, I do remember 2006.
Wait,
Getting,
what did I say?
You said you loved it. I was just saying that it.
I loved it 'cause it's my
well, we
birthday.
already
I was
know
hanging out
Brendan
with my
doesn't
friends.
ever get it right.
Well, this was before I was, I met two such great film
Indoctrinated.
intellectuals. I was 16. But anyway.
All right, we're upstairs right now. We got a creak.
Down to the spoiler room?
Spoiler room. All right, so now we're going to talk about the movie way more specifically. We have a couple of plot points we picked out that kind of will explain what happens in the movie. You know, all these thoughts that we have accumulated will get dispersed along our walkthrough of the film.
Yeah, let's take longer for that part.
We're being mean, dude.
You can listen at 1.5 speed, dude.
I disperse like
1.5
seeds upon the.
If you do 2 times speed, I will fucking find you, though.
Dubs is trying to get over with for the freaking next game. All right, let's go.
All right, so the way the movie starts is priest taking confession from another priest. He explains some devilish plot, and there's a very deliberately intense scene.
The priest, the one that stays alive, priest Father Brendan, right?
Maybe Brennan.
Maybe Brennan. But whatever it was, that man had like a built-in reverb to his voice.
His voice is
was
incredible.
amazing.
Well, he's from The Witch.
He's from The Witch.
Oh yeah.
The big thing about the intro, at least that we're going to talk about, is the death of the other priest, which comes via stained glass window.
Blood-stained glass after that. Am I right?
So there's this slow motion. They keep charging the item of the stained glass, and then they go outside, and you're like, it's going to fall on somebody. It does, and it comes in super slow motion.
And he like Babe Ruth calls his death right before that. He's like, oh, I don't want to be forgiven. I want to die. And God's like, gotcha, bro.
Afterwards, he walks away saying he's fine, and there's a giant
Dude,
wound.
it looked like a cantaloupe. You ever cut open a cantaloupe? That's immediately what I thought of. Or like the Jamaican guys with the machete into a coconut, fucking popped his head wide open.
I will say, before opening up LaFleur,
Matt LaFleur.
Oh, sorry, am I not supposed to talk?
So what was great about that scene is they put it in slow motion so that you, as the audience, have to guess what's going to happen. What's the outcome going to be?
He's probably gonna die.
Well, yeah, that you knew, but it's like, how is he going to die?
Sure.
And I actually think that the choice that they made was probably the least. It was disappointing.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I had about 72 other ways that I was
Pipe,
like.
they showed the pipe for a second. You were like, behind the glass, he's gonna get impaled.
Also, last thing, homage to the first one, probably the most unexpected death is decapitation via a pane of glass off the back of a truck. I think.
Spoiler alert. Really puts the pain in pane of glass for that guy, am I right?
So I did think
Pain in my. That's a freaking pain in my
Heart of
pain in my class.
Also in.
Wait, can I just say one thing about the scene that the death, the pole scene, and I already talked about how I really liked the opening shots and stuff. So I said completely invested until the pole hit the other priest. The smile / music. Because remember the music? It was so weird.
Yeah.
It was like happy music, and he's like smile. So I said the smile / music interrupted the tone I felt they were trying to establish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it disappointed me.
It was a scary smile and tone, but you're right. It didn't
felt
match
corny
the
to
other
me.
vibe.
Well, it
Yeah.
was very Hollywoody.
Yeah,
and
very-
I was like, all right, this is not going to be a good movie. I do think it got much better after that.
Yeah, agreed.
So then you get introduced to the protagonist. She arrives in Italy. She's gonna
Hot twist. She's hot.
She's gonna become a nun.
Me likey.
And probably the first thing worth talking about is she meets this troubled girl. Incredible shot, I thought, of her under the bed where her head is exposed and her bottom torso is exposed. You almost think that something is going to misalign for a scare.
in between it.
And nothing does. But the way it was shot was so again, inviting you to imagine what might happen.
Yeah, that's our intro to Carlito's Way.
And then,
And I will say
then
the
she licks
actress,
her face.
the actress that plays the protagonist in this movie is also the same actress in the Apple TV series Servant. And there's actually a lot of parallels between both of those productions, but we'll get into that.
Another
maybe a
big
little
Shyamalan twist I feel like here, and this is just from internal. I haven't looked this up, but dude, big twist. I think she's a Jew. Dude, they had her playing.
Oh,
a
the
nun.
actress.
She's super. My Judar was going off. She looked like Rachel Sennett a little bit from Shiva Baby, and then they made her. But either they made her Christian nonetheless.
All right.
God damn
Abby
it.
thinks she's Jewish, apparently.
Honestly, she complained a lot.
Oh, Margaret. Classic Margaret.
Oh, yeah, Mark.
Also, yeah, they cut, again, we'll get to the twist, but we're in the spoiler room. They literally were like, there's this evil baby. And then they cut to our protagonist, and it's like, okay, guys, you can't now have the twist be that she's the Omen. We just assumed that from the first fucking shot you cut away from introducing us to the Omen.
True, but I will say they had a lot of red herrings throughout.
No, they did.
Which you brought up earlier, like that Margarita was.
That was
Carlita.
Carlita Margarita.
Well, she's Margaret.
Well, that was probably what I think
Yeah.
the movie did better than anything, and I probably should have said this in the initial thoughts. Is I think that no matter how many times all of us whispered to each other what we thought like, oh, she's the one. We were all wrong. They did a very good job of keeping it unpredictable in terms of the outcome.
Yeah, exactly.
It became more of like a mystery.
Right.
The second half.
Remember my synopsis.
True.
There's a church devil. Who is it?
Yo, listen
damn.
to the name of this actress. Nell Tiger Free. She's British.
Wow, hippie ass parents.
Yeah.
I can say as a
Nell
Abbie
with the
Krinsky
rockets.
Rogoff.
All right. So I want to get through these plot
Oh yeah,
points.
she's at the bed. Yeah, she's in the
fairly
bed. She
quickly.
walks in. The girl's like behind the bed, being creepy, like you said, just going like,
Yeah.
"Come with me."
So the-
Hail
the-
Mary, run quickly. What do we have here now? Do you want to ride or die? La da 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 da.
I don't
Anyway.
know that. What are you, big nun?
Anyway,
Tupac's and a baby.
So the first act, and I think we'd all agree, is probably the scariest in terms of building the tension and having a couple of creepy moments. The first is her under the bed with the lick, and you know the first scare can't be full blown. So
No.
you think something, and she just gets licked, which was
Hot.
Personally, I think you need consent before you lick people's faces.
I also
But
was-
go off, Carlita.
all right. So the rest of the first act, the two other things we want to talk about. The first is the scary robe on the wall, which I think most of us would agree favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Best part.
Strong disagree. My least favorite part of the
yeah.
whole fucking movie.
It was, and I have it. Brendan will be like, no, I wasn't scared, but I literally
I
wrote
was
it.
scared. I was so scared. I loved it.
Well, now he unveils himself. But yeah, Brendan made an audible like, oh, and then he was like, yes, he was so happy afterwards, and that is why we do it, folks. I think it was a great jump scare. We all knew it was coming. It didn't matter because of how
I didn't know it was
done.
coming. I honestly didn't. I was actually legitimately surprised and
Same.
thankfully so. I was like,
spilled-
wow, they got me.
How-
I
But they
spilled some
showed-
voodoo on myself.
So the way it's shot,
Get a close up on this. Go.
the way it's shot.
This is Will explaining to Brendan how, in fact, he was not scared and
yeah.
did expect it.
He's
Look at me.
He's
No,
telling
no.
me how I wasn't scared. Go. And
this
how
is how
I
I
actually
make-
knew it. I actually knew it. Go.
No,
Just say it.
he,
Get a
I had to
close-up.
write it down so there would be no room for interpretation. Brendan was scared. So what happens is she's sitting in her room, and behind her on the wall is her robe, her little sister robe. And they keep showing it.
Sister.
And she's praying.
Hello,
right?
sister robe. What is that,
And it's
dude?
behind her. And then, she's praying, and a noise happens, and she looks away. But then the curtains from the window start to flapper into the shot, and it's great. It is the same frame with the thing behind her. It's so well done, and eventually the flapping curtain passes where she's sitting, so we can no longer see her, and we can no longer see the robe. And as soon as it comes back, the robe becomes like a person, right? It all it does is like hello or something like
So
like
scary.
And it was just so well done. I thought based on how charged the robe was that okay, the scare is coming, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It still was so good.
True. It was very good.
It was very good.
That got me super back into it. I was like, all right, I'm here.
And then so they run through. Then we get introduced to the Father Gabriel, who's pretty underdeveloped, except that he looks like a young Obama. Did anyone else see that? Father Gabriel looked like Obama.
Kind of, or like Grey Worm from Game of Thrones.
That's what it wasn't. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Grey Obama.
Oh, and
Get
the
a
other
point from Dubs.
the other thing was the Wild Night Out.
Oh yeah, and yeah. Also, just real quick with the Carlita's Way, they introduce her, and then they're like, oh yeah, she's in the bad room. Honestly, I got to use the bad room right now after another Twisted Tea.
You know what's weird? You know what's weird?
I was just thinking about.
You know what's
that.
weird though? Like having a bad room, like again, as like a Catholic growing up, going to church and stuff, and going to a church that had statues all around, and some of them were like the most morbid statues.
All of them,
There was
it feels
one.
like.
There was one statue I remember. I actually just went to a church, and there was a statue. It was for a somber event, but anyway, there was a statue of a saint that was just head down, crying into his hands, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude, what is that even supposed to denote?" Like, and my brother just goes, "He's overcome by the great mystery," or something like that, and I'm like, and everyone's
But
like
you
trying
were
to be
gonna say like Catholic guilt or
yeah, he's just overcome by the great mystery, and I started laughing so hard.
I mean, not to be real about it, but it is like crazy. I mean, it was Jewish culturally raised, mostly atheist, but it's like it's so fucking dark. All of
Atheist?
religion is so dark to show kids early on. They're like, oh, hey, you know how you're just understanding like how like you don't understand precipitation yet and like why the day and night are different? And also, how about if we show you like gruesome deaths because of people like following their own instincts and like being cursed to damnation? And it's just so fucking dark, which is why it's perfect for horror.
Hell, heaven and hell are like the first two things you learn
so
about.
dark.
Hell is such a hey, if you lie to me, we're gonna
What about
burn
fire?
you.
Well, especially Catholicism, though.
Yeah, Catholicism's
like,
the best at it.
If you take every sect of Christianity and you compare it to Catholicism is like hell and fire and brimstone, like apocalyptic consequences for like masturbating.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
As like a 12-year-old, you're like you will be consumed by the fires of the pit of hell.
It's so
So last beat on the first act is they go for a wild night out. Her new friend / roommate. Before you take the vow, you have to make sure you know what you're giving up. So she gets her drunk and she hooks up with the guy that looks like the dude from The Boys, kind of.
I see that.
The Boys. Wait, what's The Boys?
TV show, The Boys. She was not a great actress, I didn't think.
Oh,
but
I thought she was fun. Accent might have masked the acting.
She came out and I was like, okay, she has the first real Italian accent, and also she's the worst actor, and also felt like she brought out a bad acting in our main character a little bit for that first scene. That's just me. But
Really? I thought she was good.
yeah, but either way,
What's important?
she gets lit.
Yeah, she gets fucked up and she smooches a dude, but also maybe licks his face, and you're like, is she gonna fuck him? Which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, she wakes up after the night out, and it's honestly one of the, again, cinematography was great, sickest shots with her hair spread all out, and the spider, unfucking believable. Again, it didn't really match the storytelling of this movie, but it was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was good.
Gorgeous shot.
I literally wrote down WTF is up with the spiders. Because it came up and never really explained.
They forgot to make it a theme.
I think it was foreshadowing for her hair in that position later on when the eventual
I see
rape
it.
or whatever thing happens.
Right, the birthing. But either way, okay, cool. All right, and what happens next?
The nun aside?
Oh, yeah. So basically, I mean, so obvious, my brain picked it up immediately, is when there's a woman.
And she died.
There's a woman standing on a tall overhang, and I basically turn to Dubs, and I goes, she's going to say, it's all for you. Because if you remember 2006, June 6th, when I saw it, 16 years old, after band practice, a day of reckoning. Don't cut me off when I say it's all for me now, Dubs. There's a woman at the beginning, the opening shot of that movie. They're actually having a birthday party. I don't know if it's the opening shot, but it's the beginning of the movie. They're having a birthday party for Damien, the child in that version of the movie. And the mother is on top of the house, and she shouts out over this birthday party that's like, 5-year-old's birthday party. It's all for you, Damien. It's all for you. And then she falls down and hangs herself from the roof. So when that scene was popping off, and then Dubs, I will give him credit, he goes, she's going to set herself on fire. And I realized, oh yeah, she's doused with something, and it was gasoline.
I thought it was Tito's.
It wasn't the mom.
Dubs said, can you pour some of that into my Voodoo Ranger?
Also, I love that you're like referring to the original as the remake.
Brendan knows so many horror movies. Brendan knows so many horror movies. It's amazing. And then this is like the funniest thing that he's referring to the 2006 Omen. Like that's the original.
But yeah, I mean, the same
remake,
thing
sorry.
happens
Yeah, it's so
in
funny
the
because
original, but it is not the mom that
exact-
hangs herself. It's
literally
not the
the same.
mom. I think it's the caretaker.
Oh,
It
no,
is
you're
not
right.
the
It is
mom.
the caretaker.
The mom
You're
is
right.
important
My
for a
fault.
while.
My fault.
Caretaker
Stupid.
or yeah. God damn.
Brendan, you called him. But anyway, yeah. So that scene, he liked. But again, it's like all of these things were so predictable. Everything.
it was also. It's interesting. I was interesting
Everything.
to
It's
me.
like, yeah, we know this. We know it's going to happen. I called it. Like, come on, movies get scarier.
It was a weird, was it raising the stakes that I thought she was going to splatter, but then she had she hung instead, and I was like,
True.
I don't even know if that's raising the stakes or lowering the stakes, just a neck snap versus a splatter.
I thought it was going to set the building on fire.
Yeah.
It didn't. So it added nothing.
Well, it does add something because she's burning alive as opposed to dying from the impact of the fall.
But she also snapped her neck when she hung
probably
herself.
died from the. I think
Maybe,
she just
maybe not.
wanted a little flair.
She wanted a flare. She got flare.
Yeah.
Imagine the planning going through that. It's like she was just downstairs
Non-pun.
a minute ago, and then she's like doing
Costume change.
She's like, okay, I got to do the creepy look. I have to douse myself in gasoline. I have to get this rope really good. Make sure it's good. Then I have to act crazy again, and then like say this line.
Don't forget the line.
Hit my cue. Hit my mark. Jump off, and be perfectly symmetrical with the building.
Yeah,
it's
it's the Lady Gaga between songs outfit change. She's like, quick, fuck, I got my leg snagged. I'm not going to have enough kerosene.
Yeah.
Abby, can you create a nun pun sound effect that goes off every time?
Nun pun.
That's cut it, paste it all over. All right. So after that, and the father warned her that something bad was going to
Right.
happen. So she did not believe the father that there was this evil conspiracy going on. Now she does. So her mission is to steal. Now that she realizes the conspiracy is real, steal birth records to prove that somebody was born on
Carlita's way.
6/6 whatever.
Right. Also, she's throughout this, by the way, I don't think we really talked on it's not that important, but she's having little, what we thought were hallucinations. They end up being like visions, and they're morphing between like creepy old church things to like a bit of hentai theme. Like there was just some weird little gooey tentacles. I'm just saying, I would say someone in the writing room.
Someone watches hentai.
Yeah.
So one of them, and shout out to Abby to making sure that we didn't have to come back to this later. But one of those visions is when I talked about this at the very beginning. The movie did show some things that I did not expect. One of them was her going to watch a birth, and they fucking showed the labia, the side of the labia, like
Majora,
contracting
Jewish
in
menorah.
a way too like up close and personal visual, like I'm not gonna say two, but more than you would have expected, and then a like a Jekyll or demon hand coming out of it.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things where I was like, there's no way they're gonna fucking show that, and they did.
It was crazy. You could say it really stirred up some visuals.
Non-pod. But yeah, it was a very graphic but realistic portrayal of how I would imagine.
Yeah, bar none. It was the
Oh, bar none. I get it.
Should we go there later?
bar none it was pretty one of the sickest parts. But the beast, dude, that's the beast.
Yeah,
the mark of the beast.
The Jekyll.
Yeah. But that's what I call it.
It was a beast infection. Also
That was honestly the beast joke of the day. Dude.
Oh, dude.
The boyfriend dies, or the guy that she like made out with dies. Like we get a weird little moment that we'll come back to for the twisty twist. But he dies. He was always a little effeminate, and then next thing you know, she's holding him, and you realize, oh, he's a top.
Yeah. So I will say that we were talking about like these wide release movies have to check those Hollywood horror checklists. That backing up into a street where it was so obvious
stupid
that he's going to get hit by a car.
It's so overplayed, dude.
Yeah,
It's
and
so
it wasn't even
overplayed.
like a real. It wasn't like a road that someone would be driving fast on. Like all these kids are running around drunkenly.
It was a
It's like,
freaking plaza.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's
People
my
are slurping spaghetti, dude, on lawn chairs. Like, where did that car come from?
Like, where did the car come from?
It's a Plaza de Nápoles.
But this is my problem fundamentally
His
with
stomach
this.
is leaking a spaghetti sauce.
Damn, too many funnies for this. Serious. But fundamentally, I mean, this is my problem with the movie. Is it did so many things really well that you wouldn't expect it to.
No, it did.
To stoop to those levels of the backing up into traffic.
It was lazy. It was lazy.
It had a tone, and I think some shitty movies have it. It had a tone where it was like there was some auteurs involved in this that made some cool decisions, and then some like classic studio shit. Like, what if we have a scene where the guts come out? Like, what if we have this and what if we have that? And that was annoying
because there were some stretches of the movie that didn't even feel like a horror movie per se. It almost felt like it was more of a thriller.
Right.
Like they weren't like shoving these tropes down our throat.
No.
And when she goes to take him from the wreckage and then she spins around, it's like, obviously he doesn't have a body.
Yeah.
It just
was
felt
so
very
bad.
kind of corny.
Also, just a second, again, such good cinematography. Have you guys seen The Conversation with Gene Hackman?
Love it.
There was a lot of conversation homages, I thought, shooting-wise. They would have these really wide angles from high up, and then they'd zoom out, zoom in, like slow zooms. rooms. I thought it was really impressive.
Like when they do that like I guess it's a drone shot over the city, and they're like zooming.
Yeah,
they're zooming back and
Very
forth, and then they
conversation.
find the window of her room, and they zoom. Yeah.
So
Very
talking
hacked,
about high shots, I did write down there's this one scene where she meets the priest for the first time. She's sitting in front of a statue, and there's this overhead drone shot.
Phallic.
Very phallic.
wow.
All right. So
So now it's reveal, baby. Now we're at the reveal.
So the reveal happens, and we didn't get into the specifics, but what you need to know is that we never got it right. It did do a very good job of giving you red herrings. And
Me and Will both thought
I had a
that
feeling it was going to be the way.
Oh,
it
a
turned out.
feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
okay. First of all,
Well, these two idiots kept turning to me. She's the Antichrist.
Well, we thought-
right?
yeah, we
And
thought
I
the
was
friend-
like,
we thought
maybe like I was talking to my niece.
we thought the slutty.
so I'll quickly break it down.
But I will say, remember the drawing when she gives her the drawing with the baby inside it?
Yeah.
And she gives it to her, and she says it's a boy to her. It's like she just went out, with the guy. It's like, I don't know.
No, that part.
So
that
here-
I
was like,
saw
it's
that
her,
part.
dude.
But then we also, come on, we definitely thought at one point it was Carlita, and they were gonna pedophilically
Yeah, I never
impregnate
thought, I
her.
never thought that.
Okay,
but
there
yeah,
was
I can see why you guys thought that.
The
for sure,
filmmakers
for sure.
made a very clear
you would-
point to make.
yeah,
it
they were trying to-
seem like
You
Turn
would
us
only
off the
think
set.
it was her only because you're supposed to think it was her and then not be like that's.
I did think once we realized the twist, what does it mean for Carlita? Or does it maybe break down that plot? Because why the fuck is she? Why do they even have her? Like,
Well,
why
Carlita
is
is a part of
Failed.
the mechanism.
Oh yeah, red herring. Yeah,
But I'm saying, what in the plot, in the world of this movie, once we realized Carlita was a red herring, why are the nuns even having her around? It feels like the nuns just would lock her away or kill her. It didn't really make sense to
they
me why
put her in
she's
the bad
around.
room. Yeah.
Right, but they let her like affect the plot. If
Well,
anything,
now
she,
it feels like lazy writing.
yeah, that's
Well,
what I'm
maybe-
getting at. I think it was
But
a
well,
flaw.
also she's clearly a part of whatever the next part of the story.
Oh,
is.
fair. Okay, maybe she has another purpose.
But here's one thing one question that I wrote this down. So now that we're at this part, if you've seen the first one, the mom of Damien was conceived via the mom and a jackal. A jackal is the one that is the father, like Satan, and we find out that this was all part of a plan where they had to conceive the mom in the first place via some sort of other devil. But the whole movie makes you believe if she got pregnant, the only time it could have ever been was the nightclub thing. So did she have sex with that guy? Well, is it implied that she just kind of got pregnant?
No, I thought the idea was she got fucked up. They took advantage of her. That's when they brought her in and got her pregnated by the jackal. Is how I took it. Because remember, her curse, the creepy friend, she sort of like just leads her on with some like, you don't really want to know.
she
what
wanted to make
happened.
her think that she goes pregnant from him.
Right, but it was the jackal.
Also, now I'm thinking some of these images, they happened before they happened. So she saw the half-burned girl. She does see the room with somebody getting like devil
and that was
raped.
her probably.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah.
all
right.
of this though, and I know the original Omen is still early, 76, but like and granted I'm a little biased because I just watched Rosemary's Baby for like I'd seen it before, but I watched it again. So good. Unbelievable. Also, this all just feels like such a shitty ripoff of Rosemary's Baby. Like they do all the same shit so much better in my opinion. That this movie just like it felt like it went between homage and then just like literal shitty ripoff.
They're borrowing from a lot of stuff, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing if you
No,
can
I don't
reinterpret
think
it in
so.
a way that's fresh.
I just think in general, and we'll get into this in our ratings, I think it's like what Rosemary Baby does such a good job of is like anticipation and not showing all the things and showing only when you need to. And this just felt like it showed unnecessary. We literally saw the devil's dick at one point.
True.
We don't need to. It was just so many different shots of that it just felt like the fingies multiple times. It just felt like a little over the top, and that was my thing. The last thing I'll say about the twist is in the original Omen. Does this plot come up of like that the whole plan was to get people back into Christianity? Because I do love that. That was really cool. I've never seen that in a movie before, and I love that plot.
So not necessarily, but what they did do is at the end of the Omen is like the president and the first lady, because the guy was like an ambassador.
Right,
or
he was
something.
important. They show him at the end of
Damien
this one.
ends up being now like in the president's family. So clearly
implying that the president was in on it.
no, just like they have infiltrated the biggest, most
okay.
powerful. They're putting Satan's,
Donald Trump.
the Antichrist into the most
Baron.
powerful position.
No, because I would say if this was original to this movie, explaining the idea that the entire point was for people to get back into Catholicism by scaring them via creating an Antichrist, I actually give that full props. That's a really cool plot. Yeah. And if that's part of this movie's original lore, then like I think that's going to up my rating on it.
It's an excellent point. One of the best lines in the movie is he's like, "What is the biggest threat to Christianity?" And she says, "Satan or the devil." And he goes, "No, secularism."
Right.
And if you think about it, how do you establish religiousness? In this case, they say fear, right? If you think about what keeps a lot of religious people religious and what grounds their morals, is probably a lot more fear of going to hell or being a sinner than being good and going to heaven. Like, there's a lot
specifically, as Brendan said.
There's a lot more power in the negatives than the positives.
And there's also like a duality. You need evil to exist for
there to
God,
be heaven.
For heaven to exist. You need hell for there to be a heaven. So you have to establish one to like reestablish the others.
No, exactly. And I mean, again, and that's why I just love that plot because, religion from, sorry liberals. No, but religion from an early standpoint, if you actually look at it through like an intellectual eye, was created to keep people in line. It's all a lie and it's all used to control power. And like this really leans into that. And they've done even more horrific things in real life. So I totally buy this. If an Antichrist was real, I'm sure they'd try to birth it to try to get us to go back to Hillsong, give them some money. JK, love you, Bieber. Okay, so now it's baby time, baby.
Let's crack off the third act. So she gets caught, and I will say the birth scene was pretty crazy in the sense that, first of all, she does an expressive dance outside of a cab.
Well, first an expressive grunt. She's given yodel vibes.
She's like barking. I thought that was her. I thought she was a phenomenal actress.
No, she was good. I liked her.
Especially that scene. I thought it was like, wow, this is powerful.
I feel like if you saw it off Broadway at like just a dance studio, somebody would be like, they're brilliant.
Exactly. This represents like the growth of the butterfly.
Oh, you didn't like it? Yeah. You didn't like it?
No, well, I'm just saying her dance was I was like out of context.
You thought it was off Broadway?
Not bad. But then her water breaks or whatever you would call it.
She starts leaking. And that was right when that Voodoo Hard Seltzer 24-ounce and the coffee I had started kicking in, diuretic-wise. And
That's
I was
when
like...
you spilled it out of your uterus?
She was leaking.
Abby broke his water, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
His brown water.
She was leaking, and I was like, can I pee in this can? I didn't. I made it through, but I really had to pee at that point.
So, and then the birth, you find out that, like, her friend was evil, the guy at the bar was evil.
Everyone was bad. That was a Rosemary Baby reveal for sure.
Pretty much everybody is part of the sinister half of the church that is, has this plan to give birth to Damien. The problem is she needs a C-section for some reason.
Dude, they reached in that tummy like it was a pita bread.
Yeah, so I did say that the movie showed did a couple of things that I was like, what? I really didn't expect.
Yeah, it was like they were making a pizza.
So two of the three, I think, are the labia birth at the beginning. I was like, well, that's crazy. Can't believe it.
Yeah, you were very audible when that was happening. You're like, oh my God.
Will, this is what women have to deal with, okay? We can watch it for fucking 5 seconds.
Then they do the C-section and they actually fucking scoop into...
They're putting the hummus and the falafel in there. They're
the
ready.
pita,
White sauce, hot sauce. And then she births a little sack. Is that what happens in real life?
Well, I don't...
It was adorable. Wait, dude, that's sack.
Brendan goes... It's adorable. It's literally a placenta bag or something.
So they just ripped out the sack.
Yeah.
And there were two in the sack.
It looked like a little weeble wobble, but it don't fall down.
Placenta. In Italy, it's pronounced polenta bag.
Yeah.
A placentis.
And then they just poke it, and it oozes out like fucking the best pimple you ever popped.
Like a marinadas.
And then they all touch the baby. No hand sanitizer in sight. Just fucking giving that baby long COVID immediately.
But then, twist.
The novel coronavirus.
Twist.
Instantly. Twist. Did tea.
So there's two babies, one of which is a son, which they're all excited about, and is Damien. But there's also a little girl. And they're like, burn it down, kill her. But she gets one stabby off. She gets a nice stab. She stabs
She rips the priest in a fucking new windpipe.
Was that a scalpel?
Yeah, it was.
There were some tools there I never saw before.
I will say, when I wrote down, I was
with all the birthing tools,
Yeah, I got
research you've
birthing
done.
tools for days. Out of all my birthing tools, I did not see some of them, and that surprised
Unfamiliar.
me. That was actually one of the most surprising parts of the movie.
That was the only note Brendan took. Was like, I got to get my hands on that.
These
little...
look so different from my cut tools.
I recognized that the important priest he was in Underworld, but I was like, I don't know what this guy's title is, but I was like,
Cardinal. He's a cardinal.
So I wrote down cardinal.
Black
Guys,
priest.
just ask me, baby.
He wears
I'm
red.
I'm a Catholic.
And I was like, there's no way this is how it. And then
Catholic.
he's a cardinal.
dude, just ask me. I'm confirmed, baby.
Red Wing
All
and
right.
Blackbird is what I call it.
So she stabs the guy, and then there's this whole, whatever
Fire.
hoopla. It gets set on fire, and somehow she escapes.
Carlito's way. She comes and saves her.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's why she's in the movie, dude. You said, why is this girl in the movie?
No, I
because they
understand.
established a kinship.
I know. I'm saying she serves no purpose to the evil nun anymore, so I don't really buy why they wouldn't just kill her. The answer is because she helps move the plot along. I'm just saying I bring it up as a flaw.
Dude, the nuns aren't horrible. They're just trying to birth the Antichrist.
They're not that
Relax.
bad. There's good people on both sides.
Talking about dad kill. Jesus, dude.
All right, so she gets away, and then they show the scene of what would be the handoff that Brendan described earlier of like how Damien is given to the U.S. Embassy guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But after that, they show the main character with Carlita and the twin of Damien, the daughter, is now like 7 years old, however old Damien would be, and the priest,
Father Brennan.
he comes to warn her that they know she's alive and they're going to come after
So
her.
unnecessary.
Also, what is she doing for work up there? Like, does she own a lumber yard, dude? That's a nice house. Is she paying rent?
she
Is she
built
paying
it.
a mortgage? This is BS. And she has a gun?
Brendan's
So-
like, what's the real estate
She
percent
must
that I could
bartend.
get?
She must bartend on the weekends.
So this is the Hollywood problem of the wide release. Is it's a perfect ending if you quote unquote prequel to end with the Damien handoff where it literally exactly right before the original starts. But instead they're setting up a sequel to the prequel. They're trying to franchise this thing.
No one needed
Which-
it.
No one cared.
Whatever. It'll be another episode.
Yeah,
probably.
the next one's going to be called The First Omen, Second Omen, but the
The second Omen part 2.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Get it over with.
It is like
Hollywood
dude,
just making a buck, dude.
when there are things called the final chapter part 1. Like what the fuck is
It's like, dude, what are you doing? We get it. Make new shit.
All right.
Now that's bringing me on to Dune. Have
Come
you
to
guys
us.
seen Dune?
Yeah, Dune
This
2.
freaking TV whatever movie. It is changing the game.
Cinematic universe. Okay.
Chalamet, Zendaya. Sign me up.
I love this.
Next
Zendaya.
episode, Dune review.
Okay, we're done.
All right, so we're through the movie now. Our second to last segment, we call this Rotten S Tomato.
By the way, the other day while I'm
I was going to
let
eat
me
some
say,
hay.
and then I go down to the bay, and then I'm gonna say, "Ooh wee, let
Rotten
me have
tomato.
some peanut salad." So I go and I say, "Dubs, on my way to Regal," and I give him a call. I say, "Dubs, what's the plan?" We talk. I give him a call
my
back.
God.
I give him a call back.
Can we not do this?
Do not interrupt this, please. I give him a call back, and this is what I hear. I hear Dubs off.
Muffled phone.
I hear Dubs off somewhere in his house playing video games going, yeah, he's freaking 35 years old. Loses his phone, loses his wallet. Can you believe this? 35 years old. And I'm like,
First of all, I'm 34.
Also, to remind you, Dubs picked up and doesn't realize he's on the phone. So he doesn't know how to work a phone. Also, I'm 33 years old, and fuck you, Dubs. So, yeah.
If you didn't understand that story, Brendan called. Will did not realize the phone was still hot mic.
was talking
And
mad.
And he was talking mad
shit.
ass on a full tank of
Yeah,
G.
a full tank
and
of G.
I was PISSED.
I just
ING.
I just want to go on the record and say I didn't make the first joke. Lewis made fun of you first, and then
Oh,
I
that
had
makes
to-
it so much
that
better.
makes me feel so good.
Brendan,
And
did
also,
you know-
Lewis, unprovoked, it was just
Also,
ripping on me.
We're
What a good
we were
guy.
born on the same day. All right. So Rotten S Tomatoes. So this segment, me usually as the person that A, can't resist looking, and B, is the one usually picking
Can't
the
resist
movies.
talking.
I will.
Got it.
Resist drinking.
I will usually know the tomato meter score.
Okay, let's do it. So we got to guess the audience score and the critic score. We'll go critics first. So I'm going to say for The First Omen, the first of this, what probably is going to be a 12-movie series leading up to the original Omen. I'm going to guess that critically it is
What if the last movie's called The Original Omen?
The original, right, exactly. And it's going to be a remake of the 2006 remake, which is a remake of the 1976 remake, and it's all going to get
The Original
real
Omen.
meta.
The original Chapter 2
The
remake.
original,
Yeah. The original first
as in,
original.
It just came out.
Okay, I'm going to guess it was beautiful. I think that will help critics like it, and I'm also going to let you guys in on a secret. I don't think we'd be seeing it. I don't think Will would have let us see it if it was badly
See, that's
reviewed.
what I'm
yeah.
thinking,
That's
dude.
a good,
So-
good point.
That's what I'm
So
thinking.
I'm going to say, but there were some dumb parts. Critics could not have loved it too much. I'm going to say that the critics thought it was a 77er, and I'm going to say that the audience thought it was an 81.
Wow, that's low.
77, 81.
I think that's
Yeah.
low. I'm going to say, and this is weird because sometimes movies, the audience score is way higher,
Yeah.
and sometimes the critic score is way higher.
With horror, it's usually lower, the audience score, for what it's worth. But I would say good horror.
Are you basically being a Carlito to me right now and making me try to put audience score lower? So now I'm factoring. This is like a game of freaking Texas Hold'em.
Aye, Carlita.
All right, so this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go critics. I think it's in the 8s. I think we're talking 80s. So I'm feeling really confident. I'm gonna just give it right down the middle, 85.
85 critics.
You know what? No. I'm gonna incorporate the 6, 86.
Oh, 666.
Rotten tomato critic score, and then audience. I want to say 80.
Okay, so we got a 8680. We got a whatever I said.
All right. So Abbie is totally right. I won't recommend a movie unless I also did a complete 180 of we should not see that fucking exploitative requel piece of shit. And then I saw the reviews and I was like, maybe we should. 81% critics.
Oh, I really came close there.
You said 79.
70% audience.
Interesting.
Which is interesting because, again, usually there are a lot of
It
very
was not Carlita.
Should've stayed at 85.
critically acclaimed horror movies that end up having shit audience scores because they're like,
Paranormal. That was crazy how low the paranormal was.
I'm glad we saw that. I love a nice 80 because it
Yeah.
felt like
There's
an
a-
80.
But
There's
it
also-
didn't. I don't know. I thought Thanksgiving was a smarter movie. I thought it would have been more critically, and I think it was about the same. I would have guessed if I hadn't seen.
I'm doing my
either.
Jim to the Office face to that.
I
yeah,
would-
same.
Well,
Oh, really?
no, but critics are the ones
Wrong
that
camera.
critics are the ones that appreciate like the underlying themes and all.
I've
that.
always wanted to write an article on the movies that have the biggest. So obviously, good movies with good reviews are great. We love that. Rotten Tomatoes high. But finding those gems where the critic reviews are low and the audiences are off the chart, those are diamonds in the rough, and
Yeah.
I fucking love those kind
Step
of movies.
Brothers.
Right, it's like really low critics, right?
Well, it's like 50 something.
Yeah.
which is insane.
Yeah, it's one of the best.
Heavyweights.
Very low.
Very
yeah.
low.
Great. I just saw that recently. And there's some fun ones. All right, this one I fell asleep during, so I'm not going to like claim that it's so great, but everyone talked about how bad the new Space Jam was.
I didn't even know they came out with
was-
it.
Yeah, LeBron.
It was so bad.
It
dude.
was bad.
You
but
saw it. I bet you saw it in theaters.
Did you know the
Fucking idiot.
original Space Jam is also like 30 something
Right.
percent?
And then look at the audience, baby. We had fun.
That's a better example.
I believe I can touch the sky. Dream about it every night and day.
None pun.
Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. Well, next game, we gotta go.
All right, all right. All right, let's wrap this shit up. All
right.
What did you guys? What's your final rating? I'll go first because I'm excited to not give a high rating for once.
Wow.
Look, I liked it. It was fun. I had a blast, but not a blast. I had a good time. I will give it 6.3 placenta bags.
Wow. 6.3, 6.3. I will go next. I had fun in this movie, honestly. Like, I didn't think it was that scary, but I had fun. I'm going to give it a 7.9 Devil's Dicks.
What?
Devil's Dicks.
7.9?
Is that really high?
Devil's Dick? That feels high considering we didn't give Talk to Me high enough.
There's so
But
many-
it was like 8.2 was.
We have so many ratings. It's funny because we have the Binkymeter.
Yeah.
We have the Rotten Tomatoes. And then
You
we
gotta have
Yeah.
ratings, dude.
But it's
Call me
inter-
Nielsen.
It's interesting. I would love to see a correlation between the Binkymeter and your review of the
Yeah.
movie. That's something we have to plug into AI. So this is
It's
what I'm going
called
to
the
give.
correlation coefficient.
I'm going to give it this movie.
I'm going to give it its movie.
I'm going to give it this movie an 8 a point.
Oh, he's really thinking. What's the number? He's like, what's the number between 1 and 3?
8.2.
I nailed it.
So now I'm fired up.
Wait,
That's
8.2 what? 8.2 what?
Little tiny. Like if you took a microscope out, you couldn't even see how tiny this thing was. Devil dick.
And that, folks.
I love how you're just saying tiny to buy time to think of something, and you landed on what I said.
Wait, what are you fucking up in arms about, dude? Over
We
there,
don't care.
I can't
We gotta
believe
go.
That you said that. What? Say it.
You just like that movie more than some of the other movies. That
Of all the
you were
movies
like,
in the
Paranormal
world,
Activity was not that
dude,
good,
I have
dude.
to set it up so there's not going to be movies higher than that. I have to.
I think this is better than that.
Oh, yeah.